Vocalo Radio, Chicago's only NPR music station. I'm your host, Bekoe, rocking out your Windy City Hour with all Chicago artists only. But as promised, I told you all this month is Women's History Month, and I was gonna be highlighting some very special women within the city that's been doing power moves. I'm talking about just making power moves happen. And right off the bat, this young lady, man, she took out time to come through, show some love. It's Thankful Thursday at that. And before I even introduce you, T, I just want to say I'm super thankful that you're here because I can tell you this again in person for everybody to hear. I'm thankful that you were able to get me down to Accra, Ghana for the Black Starline Festival. I mean, that memory right there will last with me forever. And I'm greatly thankful for you for even, making that happen, and getting me down there to cover things and just having a ball. And with that being said, Teryn Payne is in the building.
I'm thankful for you too, Stephen. Thank you. I'm glad you got to come to Accra because this is such a beautiful place, and I know what it meant to you with your dad. So I'm honored that I was able to assist in helping you.
Yeah, you did that. You did that. I cried. I cried. I cried. I'm like, yo, and like I said, I greatly appreciate you for that. I mean, with it being Thankful Thursday, what are you thankful for in general?
I'm thankful for my peace of mind. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for my family, my friends, my spirit, my energy. Like, I'm thankful for a lot of things. But those are the most important.
And on top of that, you just celebrated a birthday. If I'm not mistaken, you celebrated what, your 30th birthday?
I turned 30. It's been fun so far.
I mean, speaking of fun, you celebrated with friends, family. I didn't get invited to the party, but it ain't about me, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, Chance DJ'd the party.
He did.
How did he do? Did he hold it down?
So he's picked up a new hobby of DJing. Started a couple months back. He's been doing like small intimate performances. He DJ'd, his brother Taylor's birthday party. So I was like, I asked him, I'm like, can you DJ my party?
Oh, you asked him?
Yes. How else was he going to do it?
Snap. I thought he just popped up there.
No, that was planned. It was Oreo, Chance, and Peter. So all people, that I'm close to and have relationships with, and they did an hour. They gave me an hour of their time, and I was so thankful because that party came together so last minute, and that just speaks to me and who I am as a person, and I'm hoping the next decade will be better because I'm last minute.
So that was all last minute?
Yes.
Like you said, it came out well, and you, from the smiles on your face, you had a really good time. I mean, for some reason, people tend to fear that age mark, that 30 mark. Me, I embraced it. I'm in my 30s, but did you have any fears turning 30?
Yes, I think I remember every single year of my 20s. So going into 30, I started just getting a little anxious, but I'm also the youngest, like, in my friend group. So all my friends are actually turning, like, 31 and 32 this year. So that's what kind of eased my anxiety. Like, okay, I'm looking at people that are on the other side. It's not so bad.
It's not. It ain't bad at all. I mean, I feel like we just getting more wisdom.
Yeah.
We able to train the next generation. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, before hitting that third degree, that third decade mark, what were some of the goals you had accomplished that you were proud of?
That's a great question. Obviously, getting my degree, getting a bachelor's and a master's. That happened by the time I was 22. And then, it's so many things that have happened. I feel like I really need to sit and think about them. But just like off the top of my head, I moved out of state. I had never done that before. I lived in New York for a little bit over a year, about like 13, 14 months. I came back and my career.
Yeah.
My career. Can't forget about my career.
A lot. Look, so much has happened within the last decade. So yeah, you do got to sit back. I mean, you traveled a lot.
Traveled the world. 2022 like my family is rooted in traveling. Like my grandmother, she loves to travel, so she passed that bug down onto my family. My aunts, my twin aunts, they both travel. My mom is a big traveler, but traveling for work and traveling around the globe, like I went to Accra, Ghana 4 times in 2022, from July to the end of December. We went to Switzerland, we went to Italy, we went to Florence, we went to Venice and Paris and LA 50 times, in New York. Like, so the travel really was a huge accomplishment. And I was grateful to have that experience because I'll never forget it. We shot music videos there, we did arts festivals, we did so many things that have long lasting memories for sure.
When traveling, does that help you find balance? You know, because you're experiencing different cultures and you're meeting different people. So, like, how does that help you find balance?
It definitely, like, meeting different people and getting exposed to their culture and finding out, people's daily routines versus my daily routine. And just, especially when you go to Italy, because it makes you realize, like, you don't have to work this hard all the time. Like, they chill. Like, sometimes they're close their businesses for a certain amount of time so that they can just rest. And, just things like that that you don't think about in America, because I feel like we're always just on the go, on the go, on the go, on the go. And it doesn't have to be like that. And when I went to Zurich, the air just felt different. Like, it's so
Cleaner?
Cleaner and just grassier. And I don't know. It's like a parallel universe over there.
You
That's where Tina Turner passed. That's where she spent a lot of her time, and I can see why.
I need me some of that Zurich air, Chicago. I mean, before we get into break, like what are you looking forward to in the next decade?
I'm looking forward to advancing my career, starting a family. I feel like this is definitely like, time where people get married and have kids. So I definitely want to do those type of things. Make sure that my parents aren't working as hard as they do now, because it's time to, they cultivated me to where I am, and my grandparents, and it's time for them to kind of chill. And just overall reaching a level of peace and security within myself that I can, just feed off to other people, and just maintaining like my mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical health.
I love that you just said that, because I got to say this before we get in the break, because I see you in the gym consistently putting in work. You motivated me. I don't know if you peep. I shed a little pound. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Shed a little bit.
You look great.
Thank you. I've been getting right. But keeping health like a priority, or with health being a priority for you, how has the gym like shaped your mentality?
That's a great question. I think that the gym is not only a physical betterment, it's also a mental thing. Those endorphins that they talk about, those are real. Yeah. When I leave the gym, I just feel better. And it's become, a sense of therapy for me. It's become not a task. Like, don't get me wrong, sometimes I wake up and I do not feel like going, but I just know that I will feel better once I do. So I just try not to think about it too hard. I just put my gym clothes on and I go.
Go do it.
It's so important. I don't think it's ever going to be a part of my life where I stop working out completely or just stop doing physical things, because like our body really needs it. Yeah. And when I don't go to the gym, my body craves the gym.
It's like you missing something.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel
leaving your
off.
Phone.
Yeah, like I feel off. Something's wrong. I need to go to the gym.
And before the break, Teryn, we were talking about like mentality. We were talking about you hitting the gym. We were talking about you turning 30.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? See how I say that proudly.
Yes,
okay?
I'm proud as well. I'm 30.
We talked about some of your achievements during the last decade, and one of the things you mentioned was receiving your bachelor's. And speaking of your bachelor's, you have a master's.
I do.
In science and journalism.
Yep.
Can you share more on what that means?
Yeah, so at U of I, it was my senior year of college, and I knew I wanted to go to New York to, work at a magazine, but I didn't feel like quite prepared because I didn't have like a lot of internship experience. So I remember one of my professors at the time was asking me if I had heard of our 4+1 program, and I wasn't familiar with it at all, but I knew how important education was in my family. So my mother, she's working on her doctorate right now. My father is just a couple of classes away from getting his master's.
Wow.
Both of my twin aunts, they're engineers, and they also went to U of I and SIU and got their engineering degree. My grandmother is a retired principal and a doctor. So education is like very, very prevalent in my family. So, you know, my mother was like, you know, just go ahead and get your master's. It's 1 year. You can, you know, further your education, and then you'll have a master's by the time you're 22.
Was she right?
She was right.
Wow. Mama's knows best.
She does. Shout out to my mom.
And to learn that, like, your family in general, like, they're big on education. Do you feel that influence is what, you know, heightened up your education to want to get into journalism? Was that background always there, or was it something before journalism?
I would definitely say the education was there. Both of my paternal and my maternal grandmother, they're both retired teachers and principals, so they worked in education. And so my aunts being engineers, that was a little bit, you know, different, but they have that math and science background and just mentality. And my mom is also a teacher. She works at universities from Loyola to, you know, she's worked at Kennedy King in the past. So I think just having that educational background, and I just really played into what I felt my strong suits was, which is always excelled in reading and writing. And I'm like, what better way to do that than to study journalism? Yeah. So that made sense for me personally.
And to my knowledge, you dabble into like fashion as well.
Yes, I grew up around fashion actually.
Came in here looking stunning.
Thank you. So my father and my uncles and my cousin Corey owns Leaders. They're actually celebrating their 22nd year at being a business this Saturday, actually. So come through, 6 to 9 p.m. They're celebrating it at their Westwood location.
Shout out Leaders. I got a couple pieces from Leaders.
Yes, shout out Corey Gilkey, my cousin.
What's a staple piece for you? You know,
I love the hoodies. So he'll get me like the hoodies. Like I got this this dope Martin Luther King hoodie, but it's his mug shot that I wear sometimes, and it's so controversial when people see that, because you don't see a picture of Martin Luther King with a mug shot.
Sure,
it has
don't.
like Lee Never Follow on it, so I wear that a lot. It's old, but I wear it often, and every time I wear it, I get so many compliments on it.
Heels or sneakers?
Sneakers.
What? Sneakers?
I'm around guys all the time now, so it's like I wear heels, you know, at some occasions, but I need to be able to keep up.
Okay.
So I
that makes sense because you is on the move.
Yes, I'm wearing my gym shoes. I got on gym shoes now. So
you talked about family earlier, starting a family. So what's the first thing you look at when you see a guy walk past? Is you looking at his teeth, his shoes, his swag? What's the first thing that strikes your attention?
His eye contact.
Okay. On the fashion standpoint, what's the first thing that catches your attention?
Definitely his entire fit. Like, I look down at the shoes and I go all the way up.
So if the shoes dingy, fellas, you might not have a chance, okay? Might want to wash them things off. Make sure you fit straight, too. But tapping back into journalism, you know, you worked for 2 prestigious media companies. I mean, you worked for Chicago's own Ebony magazine as an assistant editor-in-chief, and then you also worked for Teen Vogue. 2 completely different type of cultures. Yeah. I mean, in your opinion, what is the science behind journalism?
The science behind journalism, that feels like a book, like that you need to write about. Honestly, my journalism degree taught me to just be objective and, you know, try to tell the story for exactly what it is. But to be honest, there's no complete objectivity in anything because we're always going to have some sort of bias. But I think it's just what I enjoy most about journalism is talking to people and sharing their stories with the world. And I think perspective is everything. And that's just been like a phrase that's been really playing in my head lately. Because even the history books that we grew up learning to read, they're all told from a perspective. And they're all told from a bias at some point. So I think the science is just staying true as possible to your authentic self and maintaining as much objectivity and integrity as you can, but also leaning into who you are as a person, because that's what makes you a special journalist.
If you had your headphones, you'll hear me clapping right now. Man, that was deep. I mean, before we tap into this break, T, I know we're talking journalism, but you can add management to what I'm about to ask you. Like, what have you learned about yourself during your professional journey?
I learned that you don't have to be perfect all the time and that mistakes will happen. Give yourself grace. Allow yourself to learn from your mistakes and not beat yourself up about them. Because I think, for me, it's like if I do something wrong or if I do something that wasn't the best, I'm like replaying it in my mind. Like, okay, what did I learn from this situation? How can it make me a better person? How can it make me a better professional? And then in turn, what's the solution? How can we move forward? Because I hate sitting and complaining and I'm not accelerating. You got to just keep on moving forward.
I know when I reached out to you, T, you was a little nervous. You was like, well, I ain't even gonna say nervous. You was like, I really don't have nothing to talk about. I'm like, huh? As much as you do, you ain't got nothing to talk about. Would you look at that as like, was the imposter syndrome kicking in?
Yes, I will be honest. I think that sometimes, as a woman and as a Black woman in my career, sometimes I question, like, have I accomplished as much as I want to? Have I even accomplish anything at all? And then I have to sit back and reflect on the year that I've had and the things that I have accomplished. And I was wrong to even say that I hadn't accomplished much because I have. And I'm glad that, you said what you said as well. Like, it's Women's History Month. These are your accomplishments. It's things that you didn't even know that I have been doing. And even with the information that you had, you still felt that it was important for me to come here and for you to highlight me. So,
and not just important for me, important for the listeners. We have the women out there that need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? Because what's something you would even share to them to help them get over that hump?
I mean, there's so many things that I have to, personally just tell myself on a day-to-day basis. Like, it's nothing like bigging yourself up. It's nothing like affirming yourself. You are enough. Sometimes I feel like, am I enough? Am I, doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, am I fulfilling these roles in people's lives that I'm supposed to be fulfilling? And the answer is, it may not be all the time, but I'm enough for myself. So that's like the number one thing. Like, you are enough. It's okay to have hardships and difficulties, but it matters of how you just digest those, and then in turn how you overcome them, and then how you come on the other side. And it's okay not to be okay. I know that's so cliche, but it is.
It's the truth.
And love yourself. Definitely love
self-care.
I've been so heavy on the self-care lately. It's not even funny.
Self-care. I'm
going to turn into a self-care.
Hey, you could make a book. You should put a book together. I'll be seeing you catching flights, chilling at the lake or the beach, soaking your feet in the sand. I know. I'm like, yeah, that's that good self-care right there.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about how you transition from journalist to management. Okay, like when Chance brought the opportunity across your desk to be a part of his management team, in the beginning, did you think you can do it? Did your imposter syndrome did it catch up and kind of halt you a little bit?
So the funny thing how it happened, it was kind of a transition from journalism to management within his professional umbrella. So he acquired the Chicagoist, and that's when I started working with him. I moved from New York after freelancing for about 7-8 months, and once he acquired that, we were working on things, and his dad, Kim Bennett, the chief of staff of CTR, actually approached me and said, hey, I know you're working on the Chicagoist, but management is having a transition right now. Would you like to come on? And, he didn't know much about me at the time also. So we sat down and he looked at my resume. He's like, you got a master's, you worked at Ebony, things like that. You worked at Teen Vogue. He's like, you have a journalism background. We could use that. We could use your knowledge, your skill set, your network, your connections to help build Chance's brand. And so that's what we did from about November of 2019 till about September of 2021. I did Chance's schedule and logistics, and I was the liaison between our PR firm and him, and just helping to shape that brand.
How tough is that type of position, especially with you transitioning from where you were to where you're at? Like, how tough was that for you?
It's definitely looking at one part of a scope of thing from a different angle, because when I was a journalist, I was interviewing the talent, and now it's like my job is to protect the talent and to make sure that his story and his narrative is being taught and told in the right way. So I had the background, and I know that everything happens for a reason. Like, I had the background of knowing what that writer feels on the other side and finding a way to connect with them and say, like, but not even manipulate the story, because Chance does a great job of just, he's a great public speaker. He's great at, telling his own story, but just making sure that it's told in the way that it's received, in the way that he meant it to be received. Because sometimes we can say stuff and we don't mean, like, for it to come out the way, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have, like, communication issues and things and breakdowns like that. So that was the most interesting thing, and I was happy that I had that background, because I feel like it helped me. I've listened to pretty much all the interviews Chance has done in probably the past, like, 5 years.
That's your journalistic background, right? Mm-hmm. Making sure I like how you said protect the talent.
Yeah.
And he's been protected. It. Y'all, like, the team been moving. So, I mean, keep doing what y'all doing. He said some things at the last interview. I ain't going to put you on blast. Just know we waiting on the Starline Gallery album. We are waiting. But
he is working. He's working hard on it. I think that it's going to be received so well. Every time he goes on these music trips, he's come back and he plays the songs for me. Sometimes I'm there to, like, I'm watching him make hits. So it's a very just rewarding experience, and he loves, like, playing songs for me and getting my thoughts on it. And I think that the world is going to receive this album really well. It's going to be so different, but it's going to be him, authentically him.
Oh, I feel it. Because the records that he recently released, I'm like, that the Chance that people want is back. He never left, but now the Chance people want, he's definitely bringing that. I mean, the music industry, as we know, is a male dominated industry. Okay, and you work alongside Chance, who's a legendary male artist. What's the toughest lesson you've learned being a woman in music management?
That is a great question. I think, for me, the biggest lesson is that I have to find my balance. I have to stay authentically true to myself, but I'm such a nice by nature person, but I have to show different sides of me when it comes to different parts of my career and the people that I interact with, because sometimes people will see me and they think that, oh, she's nice, I can talk to her this type of way. But then it's like, I still demand respect. I should be respected. I give you respect. I should get it back. But it doesn't happen like that all the time. So it's like you have to know when to turn it on and know when to turn it off, too.
Mm-hmm. Don't let Teryn bring that pain out. Oh, it's a reason now. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to, like, empowering more women, what are some things you like to see change within not just the music industry, but in all the male-dominated industries? What's some changes you would like to see?
While I want us to be celebrated for our accomplishments and the things that we get, I don't want it to be such a big deal. I want it to be more normalized when, women get in higher positions in any industry. And I think just continuing to push the agenda forward of just empowering women, and I don't know, it's just like the way of life where men and women and the way that they're viewed and just the scope of power, and that's just like a whole big thing. But I want to continue to see women in places where it doesn't feel like a big deal. Mm-hmm. Like they're just constantly being accepted and embraced for who they are, but not what they look like.
As we get closer to capping things off, Women History Month is in full effect. See, who are some Black women that's inspired and influenced you throughout your career?
Definitely all the women in my family, like I've named, my mother, my twin aunts, my grandmother, both my grandmothers. Professionally, my first boss, her name is Kyra Kyles. She is a award-winning journalist from Chicago. She was the editor-in-chief of Ebony. She's done so many things. Kathy Cheney, she worked at WBEZ for a very long time. She's another just prominent journalist in Chicago. Raven Hill, she is my mentor and also a Chicago legend. As far as the music industry, I really look up to Karen Civil and the work that she does. Man, the list goes on. Who else? Ebony, she manages like Future, Flo Milli, and Gunna. She's another black woman in the industry that a lot of people don't know about. I haven't had the chance to meet her, but I see her from afar, and I'm very just like inspired by the work that she does. And, just so many agents that we come across in our talent agency. Vatana Shaw, she's very inspirational. Just so many people that I haven't met or that I've come across or that I want to meet are just super like inspirational to me.
You was ready for that question.
I feel like I'm missing some people, to be honest. Please don't get mad at me.
I know that's right. Because me, I would have froze up a game like 2 to 3 days. You was boom, 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 back to back. Now, we never really talked about like your personal evolving. So in what ways do you see your personal brand evolving in the near future?
I definitely want to, reach back and do some mentoring and help, because I remember what it felt like to be in high school and college and want to achieve a certain career, but I didn't know exactly how to do it. And so I think talking to, young black women and young women in Chicago, and if I could find a way to help them and nurture them, I definitely want to do that. Also, my family has a business. It's called the Retro Grill on Stony Island. It's on 8126 South Stony Island. It's a black, obviously owned, family-owned business. Both of my parents, Ebony and Clinton, my uncle, Freeland, and we are 10 toes down helping to grow this business. I've taken a very heavy involvement in the business lately. My dad and my mom, they told me, they were like, we need the help. And who am I not to help my own
family
parents? Because it's my business too, you know? And so we're not fast food. That's one thing. So it specializes in just cook to order food. The fries are fresh. They cut them from fresh potatoes. Everything is like the ground beef is fresh. So it takes time to cook because it's nothing that's cooked to order. The wings are dropped and fresh. And so I just have been focusing on just cultivating that because my family, they own the building. They're like one of the very few black owners on
that block or area.
Yeah, on Stony Island as a commercial property. So
get that address again, because it's lunchtime for some people.
Yeah, 8126 South Stony Island. The Retro Grill, Stony Island.
I got to go. You said they got fresh spuds in the back that they cut.
Yes, my dad and people that work there cutting those fries fresh from potatoes.
Oh, you know what?
I know everybody sees me posting it on my story. I feel like I haven't made like a public announcement about this being my family business. So I'm glad I was able to do that here because it means a lot to me. I watch my dad work
his butt off.
Literally, sun up to sundown. This is a labor of love.
Man, good education, good eating, great management skills. Are you managing? Are you managing the Retro Grill too?
Yes, at this point, yes.
Oh my! Look, sounds like another vacation is on the way. Sheesh. I mean, I as always, it's always a pleasure. And like I said, it's Thankful Thursday. I'm super thankful for you for coming through, sharing your story. Keep doing what you're doing because you're empowering more and more women to get up there and, lead. And that's what we need. So thank you, T.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.